Hey y'all, just checking in. I wanted to answer a question that's been asked a whole lot. Hopefully you guys, if you're new, you've gone through my playlist and everything, but you guys hear me talk about my ex's son, and everyone's like, what happened to his mom? And so I'm going to tell you what happened to his mom. I'm going to say allegedly because I've never spoken to her. I only know what I was told, and so she's out there somewhere. I will not say her name because I want to respect her privacy, okay? But this girl met my ex, and he claims that they dated or whatever, and she got pregnant. When she got pregnant, he claimed that she locked herself in the house and refused to leave, okay, because she wanted a abortion. She did not want to have the baby, and he demanded that she have the baby. So when she didn't want the baby and he demanded it, he said that because of that, she locked herself in the house. Now, when I realized, like, after my Stockholm Syndrome, after I'd been out for a while, when I realized everything that had happened, it clicked with me that, like, oh, I don't think she locked herself in the house. Like, I don't think that's how that went. But that's what he told me, that they were never married, that she locked herself in the back room, and he would bring her food in the back room, and that's where she stayed, and the entire time while she was pregnant. She didn't get any medical care, she didn't do anything. Sounds really familiar to me being pregnant with my twins, okay? And so eventually she had the baby, and she literally went to the hospital, had the baby, and then she checked herself out AMA. Okay. And he claims that she checked herself out AMA, that they called him. They said, hey, she checked herself out. Like, we don't know where she is. And he's like, oh, I have no idea where she is. She was just out wandering the streets, right? He made me sign out AMA after I had my twins because he refused to let me be without him. Okay. So same exact scenario. He signs her out. She signs herself out AMA. I'm sure she gets locked back in the house. He goes and sits with the baby until they release the baby to him. Okay. He brings the baby home. And so she is with this baby locked in this trailer. So he was selling mobile homes, and they had a mobile home. So during the day, he worked in the same exact vicinity of where they lived. So he'd leave the house and go like 2 trailers down. Okay. And so she was locked in there with the baby all day long. And so eventually, when the baby was a few months old, she ended up running to a neighbor's house, banging on the door and asking for a suitcase. This neighbor gave her a suitcase. She ran back to the house. Then she ran back to the neighbor's house, and she handed her the baby. And she said, can you please just watch him for a few minutes for me? She then had stolen the keys from my ex, got in his car, and drove off to the bus station and got on a bus and went back to her family. She never saw the baby again after that, and she never came back for him. She tried to fight for him through the court system, and my ex, won. So my ex had full access to that baby at all times since the baby was born. That child is severely autistic, and needs a lot of help. But he has been raised by a sociopath. And so he has a lot of issues. But my ex actually uses him as a pawn in court. So when he's going up against new charges, which he does constantly, he'll say, I have a severely autistic adult child that I'm the sole caregiver of, right? But he's very abusive. He's very, very, very abusive to that boy. He will beat him into an oblivion. He just treats him like he's nothing. I mean, the level of abuse that child does not deserve it. And even with all of those things that child did to me, it's because his dad trained him to be that way. But yes, his mother went through that scenario, and she got out without her kids. I refuse to get out without mine. And I'm not saying that I'm better than her or worse. I'm just different. So she got out and tried to fight from the outside. I refused to leave my kids until we got out together.